I hereby inform you under powers entrusted to me under Section 47, Paragraph 7 of Council Order Number 438476 that Mr. Buttle Archibald, residing at 412 North Tower, Shangri-La Towers, has been invited to assist the Ministry of Information with certain inquiries, and that he is liable to certain financial obligations as specified in Council Order RB/CZ/907/X. Sign here, please.
Right, to keep the bailiffs away, I've decided to do this, create this new series where I shill animation and art books. So to kick off the very first series, we're going to deal with two books that I think are really, really cool. One is Cartoon Animation by Preston Blair, and the other one is Simplified Drawing for Planning Animation, and they're both really cool. Now, the very first book that I'm going to review is the Cartoon Animation book by Preston Blair. Now, I first stumbled across this Preston Blair animation about maybe about 25 years ago when I was working for a company called Chroma Color, and they were selling these books when I was basically doing cell painting for this company. Anyway. This book is full to the brim with great information. Now, before we get into it, let's first talk about Preston Blair and who he is, etc. Basically, Preston Blair is an old school animator. I'm not sure if he's alive or dead yet, or dead at the moment. But he's a great animator, and he basically animated. He's famous for animating the hippopotamus scene in Fantasia. He also did some animation on Pinocchio. I'm not sure what exact scene he did on Pinocchio, but he did some animation on Pinocchio. He then went on to work for Tex Avery, and he was quite famous for doing the Red Riding Hood scene. Anyway, he's a battle-tested animator, and he created this book called Cartoon Animation. Now, the first part of the book deals with how to create characters, etc., and construction lines, and construction of the head, stretch and squash of the heads, and then he deals with hands. It is the first part of the book is it's not fantastic, but it does give you some basic grounding on creating characters, etc. It's a bit outdated, the first part, because obviously the style is kind of set back in the older style of characters, etc. But it's still pretty cool for you, especially if you're you just want to get into doing a few sketches, loosen up your sketches, etc. It's good to copy. Also, the hand section is pretty cool. He's got lots of examples of hands. But the most important he's also he also deals in the right at the beginning of the book perspective as well. It's not the best perspective book out there, but it just gives you a very simplified view on perspective. There's lots of better books out there on perspective, and I will in the future review some of those books. So the second chapter, which I feel is the most important chapter, is the character movement chapter, and he deals with line of action, which is really important, and he also deals with rhythm and design in cartoon art and animation, and he also deals with movement and masses. And really importantly in this book, which I think is really good, it's filled with walk cycles, examples of walk cycles, sneaks, runs, jump, fast runs. He also deals with he's also got lots of examples of quadruped animation, as in animal animation. So he's got lots of examples there. If you've been following along with my tutorials, I basically created a very small tiger run animation. I'll put a link below, but that deals with that's basically taken out of his book. But you could check out that tutorial that I did. So it's filled with examples of animations, quadrupeds and 2D animation. He also deals with anticipation, action, reaction, you know, opposing and opposing movements, secondary action. So that's really, really good. So he covers all of the basics, all of them. And I think if you buy this book, it will really help you in your journey in animation. Now at the end of the book, he also deals with lip syncing. So if you want to deal with lip syncing, he also deals with that. And then he also deals with timing and spacing at the end of the book, which I think timing for animation is really, really important. And then at the very end of the book, he also deals with staging, etc., and background and layout drawing, etc. But it's kind of the at the back of the book, the stuff is kind of outdated, but it's still good to know about the history of animation and, you know, how they used to do stuff in the olden days. Right. So this book gets my thumbs up, and I would highly recommend that you purchase this book. The second book I want to review and also recommend is a book that I've recently stumbled across called Simplified Drawing for Planning Animation. Now, I don't know that much about the author, but the book itself, it's quite short, but it's got some great examples of how to basically do shorthand for your drawing. You know, in one of my there's a video I uploaded a little while ago where I talk about, if you want to be a great animator, you got to copy the great animators, which is true to a point, because the great animators, they've reached the point where they don't have to simplify the drawings. They can just literally really rough out a very kind of the animation, and it works. You know, they just rough it out very quickly. But as we're learning to do 2D animation, learning to simplify your drawings is really, really important. And this book deals with simplifying your drawings. And I just think if you get these two books as your foundation in your journey, and even if you're an old animator and you just want to check out some cool books, I would still recommend these books even for older hat animators. And even if you don't intend to do 2D animation, having these books for 3D animation is still a really, really good book. So anyway, they're the two books that I strongly suggest that you purchase. I'll put a link below, and you can use the Amazon link. If you use the Amazon link that I put below, and you purchase those books, it supports the channel. So I would obviously highly recommend that you use the links that I provided below. Right, I'm out. Laters.
Certain financial obligations as specified in Council Order RB/CZ/907/X. Sign here, please. There. Thank you. Same again, please. Just there. Press harder this time. Good.
Oh, what is this all about?
That is your receipt for your husband. Thank you. And this is my receipt for your receipt.
Mrs. Buttle, are you okay?